Hello and welcome to our channel. I'm Isaac from Creative Brain Studio. On this channel, we are going to take you through the various aspects of graphic design, how to go about it, and everything you need to know about graphic design. If you really want to learn more about graphic design, then smash that subscribe button below and then let's get started. Alright, so in today's lesson, we are going to dive into graphic design, what actually graphic design is, and so we're going to take this introductory course. It is going to be a very short video and I hope you enjoy this journey. Let's get started. So what is graphic design? I did a little search on Google and this is what I had. Google is saying that graphic design is the art of problem solving and visual communication through the use or combination of text, images, and colors. I want us to take critical look at the point problem solving and visual communication, as these things will pop up in the next few slides. So we're going to dissect graphic design and look what actually graphic design entails. So we have the word graphic and also design. When we talk about graphic, what actually is graphic? We are saying that graphic refers to the visual elements that we are going to use in our work. We have the shapes, the typography, the color, the form, and also the line. Alright, someone will be asking, what is the difference between a line, a form, and a shape? Now, a line has just one dimension. A shape has two dimensions, that is just the length and then the width. We have a form. A form is also a shape, but this time it has three dimensions. That is what we call 3D. So it has a length, a breadth, and also a width. That is about visual element. Also, we have another aspect, the aspect of design, and we are saying this is where the communication aspect comes in. We talk about the look and then the function of our work. This is where we combine our visual elements in order to communicate. This is where we combine our visual elements, our typography, our shapes, our color, form, and lines, so that they communicate to our user or our end user. We are going to go through some basic principles that every graphic designer must know. Without these principles, you are not a complete designer. So the various principles we are going to go through very quickly here, and then we will take them one after the other in the next few slides. So the first one is color and contrast. The visual elements, white space, alignment, scale, and then simplicity. As I said earlier on, these principles are not in any particular order. So we are going to take these principles one after the other and learn what these things are and how we can apply them in our day-to-day graphic design works. Color and contrast. With the color and contrast, we are talking about how we arrange our visual elements in order to convey the fact that these elements that we're working with, the visual elements we stated earlier on, they are different from each other. If we have a text box, if we have a button, how we are going to differentiate between these two elements. If we have a red background and a red text, we are not actually going to see what we are trying to communicate, and that is how we are going to talk about. So let's take a look at this design. So a very simple design, which is collecting information from our user, and from the first look we can see that this is some kind of DAO design with a green background and a black text, red background and a black text. Far away, we are not going to see what exactly the designer is trying to communicate. It is going to be very difficult to read afar off. That is what we're actually saying. If you are far off from your design, you should be able to read what has been written or designed on our form. Let's correct some few things about this design, and then we will know, or we will learn what actually we are talking about. Alright, so let's correct these things and then let's see how this color and contrast work in our day-to-day design. Perfect. So now we see we have a white text on a red background, and then with our buttons, everything is standing out. So when we talk about color and contrast, we are saying let your visual elements stand out from each other. Let them pop. You're not going to strain your eyes to read what has been written on your form. Or that is about color and contrast, a very sharp one. We will move on to the next one, which is visual hierarchy. This is where the communication aspect comes. Then we are saying that we are guiding our eye on the work so that our eye will quickly recognize the visual elements in order of importance. When we look at this form, we have enter your details, all fields are required, full name, and then they're all having the same font sizes, and then the same font weight. When you look at this design, you don't know which one to look first or which one to read first. But when we correct this thing, so now we have this. The first thing that catches your attention is enter your personal details. And so the person will ask, where should I put my personal details? And then first thing you see full name. Even though you're going to see all fields required, it's just telling you need to fill all the fields that have been provided in the form. When you talk about visual hierarchy, how you present your elements in order of importance, that is with visual hierarchy. And then we move on to the next one about white space. Most graphic designers call white space or negative space as every designer's friend. When we talk about white space, we are talking about the spaces within our elements. So what determines the amount of white space you should use in your design? Actually, there is no thumb of rule which specifies the amount of white space you should use, but we are going to go through some quick things, and then we will learn how to use white space. The first is content. The amount of content you have in your work will determine the amount of white space you should use. So if you have bunch or tons of things to put in your design, that should inform you about the amount of white space or negative space you need to leave in your work. Also, the user or the end user, the target user, can also determine the amount of white space you are going to use in your design. The overall design that you're doing can also determine the amount of white space you need to use. And also the message you're trying to communicate can also determine the amount of space you need to use. When we start with the actual tutorials, you're going to understand how we apply these various principles, and then I think you'll be okay. The next one is alignment and balance. We are saying that this principle of alignment and balance is just like a seesaw. So you think of a seesaw, you need to balance your design at all times. The amount of elements you place on the right hand side should be the same amount of elements you place on the left hand side. So you look at our design here, you see everything is aligned to the center. We have enter your details, all fields required, and then our text box, our shapes, and then the typography, everything is centered. And then we see we have equal amount of spaces on the left and then on the right. That is it. We align our elements in order just to give that professional look to our work. So balance your work and then align everything perfectly. The next is about skill. So when it comes to skill, we are going to focus on logo designs. Let's say you're designing a logo for a brand like McDonald's. They're going to use this logo for various functions. Now on our left hand side, we are seeing the logo placed on the vehicle, and also on the right hand side we see the logo is placed on different materials. Our design should be in such a way that when you squeeze it or make it very small, the design will still maintain its quality. When you stretch your design to any other size apart from the original size, it should still maintain its quality. This is where the tools that we use to create our various designs come to play. Now we are going to talk about which tools to use for which design in our next video. Next is simplicity. Your design must look very simple as it needs to be. You don't need to pick the colors just because they are at your beck and call. You can pick any colors and then just paste them on your design. Make sure you use your tools, your colors, your elements in the right manner. Just make your design look very, very simple. Let's take a look at this design and then perfect. Now let's compare this to the previous one, and you see this is very, very simple, and then you just get the information, and then we've applied every bit of principle we've talked about in this video. So that is it for the overview on graphic design. Actually, it's a very short video, and I hope you've learned a lot from this video. So if you really enjoyed this video, I'll urge you to subscribe to this channel because we have awesome content for you. Thank you, and see you in the next video. Bye.